Right, welcome to the season-long DFS podcast. It's something that was a bit off the cuff, and I'm joined by Rich King. How you doing, Rich?
I'm good. Luckily, you know me. I have nothing better to do on a Friday night than talk about NFL. So
That is music to my ears. Music to my ears, Rich. I was thinking earlier today about, obviously we've got the season on DFS competition, the year two going on at the moment, and we all know DFS is getting incredibly popular in the UK as well as everywhere else in the world. And I thought, well, as well as having the competition, why don't we do a weekly podcast for it? So we can, as you can all see on the screen here in the video, you can see the leaderboard through the first 2 weeks and see who's done badly and who's done well. I'll run through that shortly. Rich, you didn't do too well this week, did you?
I did not do well this week at all. No, I was absolutely crushed with thinking that Derrick Henry would absolutely smash the Jacksonville Jaguars, as he always has throughout his career. And then I got hit multiple times by injuries. So it was just...
Injuries, they weren't great this week, let's put it this way.
A lot of new members to the ACL club.
Oh, God, mate, I've been there twice. It's not nice. It is not nice. But before we get, what we're going to do is obviously is talk through kind of DFS for week 3 that's coming up. Who we like. We're going to try and do a Milly Maker together and put a Milly Maker team in, and kind of just for people who listen, just maybe if you're in the competition or you're not. If you're in the competition, you can find out who we like and who we're probably going to put in our teams. And going on last week's Rich's score of 71.7, you probably don't want to listen to Rich. You might want to listen to me, who banged off a 189.02, second highest. Sorry, there. I'm just humble brag. I'm
just gonna nip off for a minute and just have a little cry. You just crack on.
Well, let's have a look at we've got the leaderboard up at the moment, and we've got I haven't put the Twitter names in yet. They're still the DraftKings names. So Matt 1408 has been pretty consistent. He's leading at 352 points. Back first week 191, and then hit a solid 161 to be leading. I'm in second with 351. MK Army 23 is third, and then I'm just gonna have a look to any people that we all might know. So Brown T10 is that Liam?
No, I think Liam will be something like Dolphin Abroad or something like that. I would have thought.
I'm not sure. I think that might be him.
It might be him. I
think it might be. I'm guessing if it is, he's fourth. Tim, our other co-host of the Kickers Matter Fantasy Football podcast.
That must be an admin error. Redo that.
He's in sixth with 332. Who else we've got here? We've got Adam Touchdown Tips, 13th. Unlucky for some, he's at 291. Who else have we got? Should we go down to Ben Rolfe? 30th.
Where's he?
30th out of 40.
He's only beating me by 10 points, isn't he? Which is
239 points. And then you, my dear man, are in 34th.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my targets on Ben, and just hope to beat him. Because if I lose to him, I might just quit fantasy altogether. Because he'll just chip. He just does these little things where he just like. So I'll speak to him about like the UK Fantasy League that we run, and then he'll just go, "Oh, because you didn't do well in that last year, did you, Rich?" And he just like, but it will just be forever. It'll just like little things. So
you can swear on this, by the way, Rich, if you really if you feel like you need to, you can.
No, I don't. No, I don't feel the need to.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Too early. And then we've got Jack, who 36th. He started all right with 156 points last week, or the week 1, and then hit, as I said in the chat, the lowest weekly score we've ever had in season-long DFS in 2 years. 58.3 points. I remember looking at his team and just seeing a lot of kind of injuries.
That was the thing with week 2. It's just brutal injuries, it seems. So many players just out of the games that have been smashing it.
Yeah. This week's going to be fun.
This week's going to be a lot of fun. I've not done my team yet, but
I haven't done my team yet either.
The only guy I know, and we might talk. We will talk about them later. Is I know who my tight end's going to be, and that's it.
Well, I've got a little bit. I had a quick look earlier today, and I've got a kind of a list of players who I quite like. And I did this last week, and do you know what? It worked because I made a fair bit of money last week. Where I basically I listed the QBs, the RBs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, and the defense. I forget the defense. Well, yeah, forget defenses. You just fill it in with whatever you got left of who I liked, who I wanted to play with, in my lineups, and then literally every lineup only had those players in it. I wasn't going anywhere. I found a way to fit in the players that I wanted to without thinking, ooh, that guy's not on my list, but he's the same price. But, do you know what I mean? Kind of mixing and matching with it. So, and that worked. I'm going to do it again this week and see if I can. I'd like to break. I think last year I didn't break 200. I was kind of always around 150 to 180. I finished 4th out of the money, of course. But I want to get I want at least a 200 this year, at least.
Okay.
Are you hoping to beat 71 points this week?
I mean, I'd like
it's
to
a high
try.
bar. It's a high bar.
I'd like to. As my wife will tell you, I quite like to set the bar quite low, and then progressively bring it down over time. So I'm really hoping I can, but I honestly think I could get my wife's actually played on my DraftKings account before with some mixed success, and she basically chooses them on how smiley their profile picture is. So she's never really played the tiers contests, but yeah, just basically how smiley the person is.
Do you know what? I'm seriously tempted to just do a $1 entry with just smiley people.
I mean, it's genius, really, because
or miserable people, or people with moustaches, or beards, or skinheads. Just imagine winning the Milly Maker, and people ask, "Wow, how did you get that lineup?" Well, I quite like their hair.
Yeah, they just looked happy. That's what she says. They look happy, and people play better if they're happy. Well, I can't fault that logic. That's the thing. I can't even say that's stupid because it's probably true. If you're happy, then you're going to play better. So
exactly.
I have to reluctantly just agree.
Mate, it's all good. Where can we find you on Twitter, by the way, mate?
So you best find me KFantasy_sports. I do have a personal page, which is Rich King FF, but I don't check that as often. I'm much more active on the King Fantasy Sports handle.
That he is. I can vouch for him on that. You can find me at my personal account is at Jamie_Byrom BYROMKM. KM is for Kickers Matter. And obviously, the most important one is the season-long DFS Twitter handle, which is at season-long DFS, and the website is www.seasonlongdfs.com. So that right there, I'll scroll down very slowly, so in case people who are in this want to see where they are and haven't seen the spreadsheet already. So yeah, everyone be better than Chelsea94, who has been pretty horrendous the last 2 weeks. I said in the chat, the first 2 weeks last year, he banged out 290s. And this year he's gone 89, 99. So
he's just pacing himself. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
He's about 160 points behind the leader.
That's fine, maybe.
For anyone who's listening who isn't part of season long DFS year 2, shame on you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, we're only 2 weeks in, and it's a lot more fun than I originally thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be quite a lot of fun. So I would say get involved.
It's a good laugh. There's a good highest scorer every single week gets a cash price. It's not massive, but it will help cover towards the entry fee for the whole thing. And obviously, at the end of the year, it's first, second, and third take home the money. First, I believe, is about 500 quid. So
nice.
It's not bad for doing something that you basically do every single week anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make any plans for the 500 quid because I kind of already pretty much torched my entry fee on fire. So that makes me feel great.
You're only 127.
I was actually do you know what I was just thinking now, right? And this might be something to consider for next year. Not in the individual weekly contest because I'm sure you can't control it. Yeah. But you know how like in fantasy you can play like wild cards or something.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun addition. So like you have like 2 wild cards where you can go double points on that week, but you have to say you're playing it before.
But do you have to say it would you have to say it just to me? Or would you have to say it in the chat to everybody?
You'd have to say it in the chat so everyone's aware that it's a double whammy. Because then you start getting all into psychology. Because if someone's ahead of you and they're just going to play their double, you might start feeling a little bit. Yeah. Little bit. Like
I like that. I love that idea. That's great.
I think that'd be a good addition.
What would even make it last year we did 17 weeks, so we did week 17, and there was a lot of kind of umming and ahhing, going, not sure if that's a good idea. Do you know what? It was brilliant because it was absolute carnage. The teams in week 17 that were done were ridiculous.
My favourite slates are week 1 and week 17. Without a shadow of a doubt, because week 1 you get crazy value prices with because they set the slate so far in advance. You get like players who opt out for a season and they're like worth 8,500, and then the obvious starter now is like 4,000 or something. So I love that element of it, and I also love week 17 because there's never going to be a week where someone could recommend that you start like the greatest player to have ever played fantasy football, Jake Cumrow, in your wide receiver position, other than week 17, you know? And it just makes me feel happy.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, mate. It's. Do you know what? There is part of that. I know how you're saying, kind of like they set the slate early for week 1, so the prices are. You'd look at some of them, you're like, really? How are they that cheap? You also get that. I noticed it last week. When did the Steelers play? With the Steelers Monday? On week 1 or something like that. By that point, week 2 slate had already been priced up, and John A. Johnson was 4,500.
Yeah.
For week 2, and it was just literally every single lineup I was putting him in because it was safe. You knew basically what the floor was going to be, and the ceiling was what we got, a really good performance. So you get that a small part of that weekly if you get after the Monday night games, but yeah, week 1 and week 17 are a great fun, and I can't wait for week 17.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm strongly considering doing a half season DFS as well. So
I think you should do it
from week 8 onwards. For people who have, anyone can enter it, but maybe for people who are down the bottom, who are like you, who think, oh, well, after 2 weeks I'm done.
This is what I said. Like, if with the wild cards, like if you did that for next year, anyone could win it. Because like if you're like, I could now go, well, I'm going guns out.
Wild card hit a 280.
Wild card hit a 280. All of a sudden, come at me, bro.
I might do if I do the half season from week 8 onwards. I might add that as the wild card in, just as a kind of a tester to see if it will work for next year.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. That will be good. Right. Let me get up the DraftKings here. You can see that, can't you?
Yeah.
Just about. Lovely. Let's try. We'll have a look down at kind of the QBs, and anyone that kind of pokes their nose at us who we like the matchup is we'll have a chat about, and someone we might hate, and we'll try and pick the kind of a Milly Maker lineup from here. How do you, when you're looking at this screen at home on your computer with a couple of beers in front of you, how do you fill any positions specifically first?
Yeah, so I tend to look at running back and wide receiver first, and then start working back.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
it's
like
different to me.
Although it depends if so. This week, I know who my tight end is going to be in like 99% of my lineups.
Yeah.
So I'll just not probably go to him and just put him in straight away.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I generally go running back, wide receiver, get a feel for which players I like, because I typically like to stack wide receiver, quarterback.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see, who I like at wide receiver for the pricing, and then work out who my quarterback will be as a result. Defense is always last, obviously.
That's the difference. For me, I always get defense out of the way first.
Okay.
I go defense, tight end, because I never usually pay up for a tight end, and defense is cheaper, and then I know kind of what I've got for the rest.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone has different ways they do it, obviously. So which way should we do it, Rich?
Well, it's your podcast. Let's start.
So I'm going defense. I'm going to go defense.
Okay.
We're going backwards. Kind of defense-wise matchup this week. Is there anyone that kind of stands out to you? Forget the price. Don't look at the price.
Okay, so it's difficult to rule out the Steelers at any price, really, because that defense is solid.
Yeah.
The matchup against Houston, like, we saw what happened with Will Fuller when he faced Baltimore, and we saw what happened with David Johnson when he faced Baltimore. So,
and Watson's O-line isn't great.
Watson's a good quarterback, but he is not that good. I mean, you can be as good as you want, but if you've got half a second to throw the ball, then it's not gone well for you. So for me, if I could afford them, then I'd like Pittsburgh.
Yep.
But I typically don't like spending up big for a defense, because you have to hit on that defense if you spend up big. Like the Patriots last year, I kind of see it because they were scoring more touchdowns than some teams.
Yeah, they were ridiculous last year.
But you have to hit on on a defense that's got a lot of cost.
I'm looking, and for me, I look and I see what the Chargers did against Mahomes last week. The Chargers defense is phenomenal. I had a lot of people seemed from what I'd seen on Twitter, they were surprised that the Chargers managed to hold Mahomes, but the Chargers did it last year as well. They held him pretty well.
Yeah, they seem to have the knack of it. In the same way as Miami Dolphins always seem to beat the Patriots at the end of the season, it just seems like the Chargers, for whatever reason, on defense can scheme against the Chiefs. It's really strange.
It helps when you've got Nick Bosa and Melvin Ingram. Not Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa.
Joey Bosa.
Yeah, it does help.
Yeah, that helps. As well as Linval Joseph as well in the middle of that line.
Yeah.
That's an underestimated addition. I think a lot of people overlook.
Yeah. So we've talked about the Steelers at 4,000. You've got the Chargers at 3,600. If I scroll down, is there anyone else there that kind of in the let's say the go from the Bills down? Bills against the Rams. Bills good defense. Rams could be anything for me. Goff struggles against good defenses.
Yeah.
But there's no crowd, so all Goff is going to hear is Sean McVay in his head.
Yeah.
This team right here stands out a little bit for me. Washington against Cleveland.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's Conklin. He's I think he's starting this week for Cleveland. I think on the O-line, which is an upgrade for them. But this Washington front is...
It's rough, isn't it? Like, it's a
word, is it?
Yeah. It's one of those where I feel for some quarterbacks sometimes in terms of what they're going to have to face.
Yeah.
I mean, generally my strategy in DFS when I'm choosing a defense is I'm looking at defensive line versus O-line matchups, because I basically just want sacks. Like, the points I find very difficult to kind of like project with some level of certainty, because touchdowns are random. They can just happen. Sacks is kind of, it's your bread and butter. Like, you get a point for it every single time. So if you get, like Washington, their D-line's pretty tough. Then, I could see it. With that logic, like, I'd kind of say I want to almost start the Bears because their defense is good, but difficulty with that is Atlanta are going to have to score like 80 points to try and win this game, because their defense is...
Funnily enough, I looked earlier and I was thinking earlier about the Falcons' defense against Chicago, and then I saw the injury report for the Falcons, and then realised that we're fucked. Putting it politely. Dante Fowler didn't train. Sherfield's out. Rico Allen is out. Well, not out. Well, I think he's out or missed again. And they're big. Our defense isn't good as it is. And without, if Fowler misses, if Dante Fowler plays and Tack plays, I'm more likely to lean towards the Falcons getting after Trubisky, because Trubisky is trash biscuit, but not for the first 2 weeks. Apparently, he's trying to show me up. I don't think you can't trust. I think the only reason is I'm a Falcons fan, and I'm not gonna be putting him in my lineups this week, and I'm not going to start by putting him in this one that we're going to do. Are you happy enough spending a little bit? So middle of the road, 3,000 on Washington against Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, let's go for that.
So let's whack that in, and then I want to know who your tight end is.
Logan Thomas.
Let me have a look where he is on my list. Tell me why.
He's still getting targets on that offense.
Yeah, I think he had 9 last week.
Yeah,
only 4 completions.
Cleveland are not good at defending tight ends at all. If I just pull up this real quick, points against, that's last season. That doesn't help me. I want to say they were one of the worst units last year, and I think they are one of the worst units again this year against the position. In fact, they are second worst. So they give up an average of 25.4 points to the position. Logan Thomas, for me, feels like a cheat because I don't really view... We spoke before we started recording about tight ends that are kind of receivers. Logan Thomas is that guy for me. He's a big-bodied receiver as well, so he has touchdown upside. So I'm going to put him in there because I think he's a low enough price that I can do a lot of funny stuff at running back and wide receiver that I really like.
Yeah. The price at 3.37 it gives you flexibility for everywhere else. I'm not against Logan. I'm gonna just tell you some other tight ends which I'm quite liking this week. I'm not sure on the price. It's Jonnu Smith against Minnesota. AJ Brown is out again. 2 touchdowns last week. Let's have a look. 2 touchdowns last week. 5 receptions, 5 targets week 2, 7 week 1, 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Whether or not he's worth 1,500 more than Logan Thomas, 2.5 more, or whatever it will be, more than Logan Thomas. I'm not sure, but I quite like the matchup against Minnesota because they can be had down the middle.
Yeah.
I quite like Ertz and Goddard against Cincinnati. I think both of those boys could quite easily score a touchdown against Cincinnati. Hayden Hurst, if Julio's out, I suspect Julio Jones will be out because what's the point? Don't risk him don't let him play injured. And if that's the case, then I think that Hurst will see a few more targets than he's seen previously. And I think the Falcons they're going to have to throw the ball everywhere, as we've seen.
Yeah.
Your boy Jordan Reed, who is 4,000, as expected, Kittle is out. I think Kittle's going to be out for at least a couple more weeks. I'm surprised he wasn't put on IR.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is with IR is they always, a player that important to your offense, you don't really want to put on IR because if there is a minute chance that he can suit up for you, you're going to put him out.
Yeah, but look who they were playing, though. They've got the Giants.
Yeah, but I'm not saying for this week. I'm saying for like the week after. Because if you put a player on IR now, it's 3 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was surprised I didn't put him on last week.
Fair. But the thing is, there's not a real big advantage of putting a player on IR because who are they going to sign for their practice squad? Like they've already got their tight end.
Yeah, I know.
Jordan Reed.
So here, last week, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 50 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't hate the price there at 4,000, especially against the Giants, who've done a little bit better against tight ends than they normally do.
I think that's one of those misleading stats, though. I just think it's more the case that they're giving up a lot elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as last year and the year before. Arizona were apparently really tough against the run, and the reason for that was you could just pass on them, so no one ran the ball.
Exactly.
So it's just one of those like misleading stats I feel that you sometimes get at this stage of the season, especially.
That's fair enough. Logan Thomas was one of my other ones, and then you've got a Drew Sample at 3,500. He came in last week after Uzomah's injury. 9 targets, only 45 yards though, but it's 9 targets, 7 receptions. Him and Burrow seem to have a fairly good connection, and the price there, and especially against Philly, is quite nice at 3.5.
Yeah, that's quite a nice price.
Yeah, and the last one for me was Jordan Akins. Yes, it's against Pittsburgh. If tight end is going to be one of the last positions that you fill in general for me, and you've got 3,000 around the 3,500 mark, Akins against Pittsburgh, it's a ridiculously tough matchup. Do not get me wrong. The Pittsburgh defense is fantastic, but Baltimore's defense isn't too bad either, and he was 7 for 7 for 55 last week. He seems to have a little bit more trust from Deshaun Watson than he did last season, and he might just have stepped ahead of Darren Fells as the tight end 1 there. But even though Fells will always vulture your touchdowns normally, like he did last week.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is I always feel like I choose the wrong Houston tight end for any week. So I wish I could just choose Houston tight end. Like, I just want the team position.
Well, Rich, we could quite happily just put Darren Fells in at tight end and Akins at. But seriously, I really quite like the price for Akins. I will be playing some fairly cheap tight ends this week. Akins.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like
Thomas.
you have to. I don't feel as though you have to spend that big at all this week.
No.
Some weeks I feel like you have to, but this week is not one of those.
No, I'm more than happy to put Logan Thomas in our Milly Maker if you really want him.
I really want him. Yeah. Okay. So you watch him now just catch 1 pass for 5 yards.
If we're lucky.
That's how it's going to be.
If we're lucky. No, he'll see. It's all about Haskins' accuracy, really. for me.
Yeah.
And Sims is, I don't know if Sims trained today. I'm not sure.
For me, it doesn't really matter because Sims and Thomas are very different receivers.
Oh, yeah. Well, Thomas is about twice the size of him.
Yeah. But like Sims is that guy who's like, I need him to make a cut and then hope I can get the ball to him quickly. Whereas Logan Thomas is much more of a, oh, okay, so a lot of people are, either I'm scheming him or I'm like, no one else is free. Here you go, big fella. You catch this. You know, it's similar
see what you
to
mean.
like Shaq in basketball when teams, the Lakers, you should just like throw it up. Like, there you go, Shaq.
Just
you
go get that one. Than everyone else.
Yeah, you just go get that one. That's great. Thanks.
All right, so where we want to go now? Do we want to see if we can fill one of the wide receiver positions?
Yeah, let's start wide receiver.
Tell me some players that you quite like, and I'll tell you if I like them.
I feel like this is a test now.
It is a test.
So I like DK Metcalf.
Yes, I've got DK.
CD Lamb.
I've got Lamb.
I think that game's going to be a bit of a shootout. So I like both of those guys.
Here's a question. Where Lockett? Would you say he plays more on the outside or in the slot?
My head says that he plays in the slot more.
Yeah.
But I feel as though he probably plays on the outside. Like, I don't know.
Dallas get gashed by the slot.
Yeah, but they
Lockett over Metcalf.
Okay.
Only just. I like both of them. I will quite happily stack a Wilson, Lockett, Metcalf in a lineup because, as you said, and Lamb because, as you said, we reckon it's going to be a shootout. I'm a lot higher than basically everyone I know, or probably fantasy Twitter about Lockett. I love the guy. He's fantastic, and I just when I saw the matchup, the first thought for me was Lockett in DFS. I hope he's around 6,000. He's a little bit over.
Do you know what Lockett is for me? He's your chicken tikka masala, right?
Oh, trust me, you talk about food.
Obviously, if you've never been to a new curry house and you're like, I don't know how spicy they make things and stuff, like chicken tikka masala, it's not going to do you wrong, right? That's Lockett for me. DK Metcalf for me is he's like a madras. Like you could have one and absolutely love it and absolutely hit it. You could also the next day be paying for it.
Yeah,
I
love that. I love that analogy. That is great.
It depends to me how you build the rest of your lineup. So, are you going to be?
If you play Lockett or Metcalf, you pretty much you're stacking him with Wilson. Sure.
Yeah.
Wilson definitely.
Yeah.
I've got a list, some of which you've already mentioned, obviously, because you're sensible. I don't often do this. I quite like the most expensive wide receiver on the slate. I quite like Nuke.
Yeah,
Against Detroit, he's 7,900 though, and yeah.
I think what I'm gonna have to say on Nuke as well is I just feel like I made wrong analysis in the off season with him because I thought he was not going to get the targets, and it seems like he's getting more targets than some teams. So,
still got 15 games to go, mate.
Yeah, I know. Like I could be talked into Hopkins,
but
particularly
you're kind of having to stack him with Murray, then, aren't you?
I think what you're having to do is if you go Hopkins, like in this Milly Maker kind of format, it kind of makes sense because I don't think he's going to have a lot of ownership because of his price.
Yeah.
So I think if you're spending up big here, we're going to have to make cuts elsewhere.
Which we already kind of have done at tight end.
Yeah, I think that
And
you're going to have to try and find some real value at running back in particular.
yeah, I think there's some value at running back and wide receiver, I think, as well. So I've got Nuke at 7.9, obviously Metcalf at 6.5, Lockett at 6.4. CeeDee Lamb at 5.4. I quite like him because he is the cheapest of the Dallas receivers. And he did bloody well last week. He was in my season on DFS team. I quite like Deshaun Jackson at 5.2. I'll list these off and then we can have a chat about them. I like Jackson at 5.2. Russell Gage at 5,100. Hunter Renfrow at 4,300, seeing now that Henry Ruggs is out for the Raiders. And I think that Stephon Gilmore is probably going to shadow Darren Waller, I reckon.
Do you think move him inside?
I think they might do. Because I kind of, Belichick will take out basically your best thing. And yeah, it's Jacobs, but Waller. Who else have they really got who Derek Carr can trust? We've got Brian Edwards, Renfrow.
See, what I feel is more likely is in how Belichick tends to scheme is they'll use Gilmore and basically take Edwards completely out of the game. And
it's a waste, though.
I don't think it's a waste
because
a
rookie. He hasn't exactly done much. What was he, 2 for 42 or something last week?
But Gilmore, I think, struggle covering a tight end. It's a different type of thing. I think what they're far more likely to do is to then play one safety at the top.
Yeah.
Or maybe even bring another safety to cover Waller.
Potentially, yeah.
And kind of double team Waller.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. My next one is your boy. Seeing as my boy is out injured. Pittman at 4,000 for the Colts. Then Adam Humphries at 3,900 for the Titans against the poorest Minnesota Vikings defense.
Do you know what? That's the type of guy. If you went Hopkins, that's the guy you go for at wide receiver as well.
Someone like a Humphries or an Amendola, or even a Beasley, that they're going to be around the same kind of price. But Humphries was my favourite one of the three. And then I've got two.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, carry on.
I think Humphries is the guy because when I was watching the game back, the Titans game, if you look at his box score, he had a good game. If you watch the film, he had a great game.
His touchdown catch and more specifically the throw from Ryan Tannehill.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's Tannehill trusting him to that point where he's like, I'm stuck here. I'm gonna give Humphries the opportunity to get the ball here.
Yeah,
and that's the one with that level of trust.
Yeah,
there's a lot of upside there, especially for a guy who plays in the slot.
Yeah.
So,
pardon me. And then I've got 2 at 3,000. I like Demiri Bird for the Patriots. I think he saw 7 or 8 targets, and he's 3,000. And KJ Hamler for the Broncos, he's 3,000 also. So I quite like those. Is there any kind of any on top, any of those that you're not sure about, or any others obviously that kind of stand out to you on the slate? I can slowly scroll down if you'd like.
I'm looking at values here as well. So,
what about thoughts on Allen Robinson against Atlanta?
I was going to mention him. So he's interesting because he's like one of the primary targets for Chicago.
Yeah.
It really depends. For me, it depends on how well you think Montgomery's going to do.
I think Montgomery's going to do rather well.
So then I didn't really want Robinson then.
No.
Because if Montgomery's doing well, then it means that Chicago are doing well, which means they don't need Robinson.
Yeah.
Which is what we saw last week.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um,
What about a Cincinnati wide receiver like AJ Green, who's league high in targets for wide receivers? Not catching many of them. I would say a fair percentage of those are because of Joe Burrow throws not being totally accurate. But I think he's 6,000. You look at the price on him, and he's grab it up here. He saw 13 targets last week.
yeah,
13 for 3 receptions in the end. So you could put AJ Green in. I think that's a gamble at 6,000. I think that's a little bit too high.
yeah.
Or
It
you
feels a
could
little.
go with I would go with the McLaurin over at 5.9 over an AJ Green, personally.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It feels 6,000 feels to me like they're baking in the upside, but they're not baking in the downside into the price at all. So
No,
you kind of need him to hit at that point. I think another guy that I'd be kind of interested in would be N'Keal Harry.
Okay,
for 4,200.
that's a nice price.
Yeah, so that's kind of it's one of those where if I'm spending, it depends what we do here with our first wide receiver. If I want him in the lineup,
yeah.
Like if we spend big at receiver, then I want like a Humphreys or N'Keal Harry, someone who can kind of get a couple of get some yards. I think I'd probably lean Humphreys, to be honest. I feel like if we're going to go Hopkins, it would be Hopkins, Humphreys.
Yeah.
And then work out a third receiver.
It's interesting, isn't it? We're going to have to make a decision here on a wide receiver, aren't we? What do you think Ridley's ownership percentage is going to be after his last 2 weeks, which have been ridiculous? Especially with Julio out.
It's going to be high because everyone seems to be riding him at the moment. It'd be interesting to see how he does in this game against the Chicago defense that doesn't have to scheme for Julio.
At the price, I prefer Gage potentially.
Yeah, I prefer Gage as well. He's going to see. Yeah, the Chicago secondary is solid.
Yeah,
and Ridley I think has enjoyed seeing secondary coverage because Julio's on the other side.
It's the juju factor, isn't it?
Yeah,
and Julio gets double teamed.
Yeah, can he now do it?
It'll be good to see. It'll be fun to see.
It'll be fun to see. Like, it's definitely one of those where I can see a world where I hear his name being constantly mentioned on Red Zone. I can also see a world where he's not mentioned at all. So,
yeah. One person I didn't think about was how's his price still this? Deontay Johnson. So last week his price was 45. He's gone up to 54. He's seen 23 targets in the last 2 games. And he's gone up against Houston.
That's nice.
Yeah. I kind of just want to immediately put him in there.
Okay.
If you're happy to, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're going to throw all over him.
Yeah.
So we've kind of settled there with a cheapo. Well, I would say cheapo. 5,000 wide receiver. Is there anyone kind of push your case to get another wide receiver in? I'm guessing you're thinking.
I want to go Metcalf because I kind of want to stack Wilson with him.
Okay, if we're going Metcalf, I want a bit of the other side. So, what are your thoughts about filling it in with CeeDee Lamb?
Perfect.
If I can find him. If I drop the mouse. There we go. Let's put CeeDee Lamb in. So, I quite like that. that core of wide receivers there. Man, Metcalf,
Yeah, and that still gives us a decent chunk as well for some running back plays.
Well, we've still got, yeah. Do we want to see? Do we just want to talk QBs?
I feel we should talk QBs because I feel like I kind of just want to auto-click Wilson, but let's talk for a couple of QB options. Cause...
Okay. I've only got 3.
Yeah.
There really should be 4. The obvious ones: Russell Wilson, obviously the most expensive. The other one will be Dak Prescott, who is the second most expensive. They're going off against each other. Both defenses are not great.
Yeah.
I think Cam Newton's going to be incredibly popular. He's not someone I'm thinking about. Kyler Murray at 6'8". Last week he was 6'1". I think he was probably in about 75% of my lineups because the price was too cheap.
Yeah.
More for his rushing than his passing. And the other one was Ryan Tannehill at 59. All the other QBs, I've been hot on Matt Ryan the last couple of weeks. And I'm just, even looking at him, I'm just a bit, really? Is there anyone else apart from Murray, Wilson, Tannehill, and Dak Prescott who you would think about lineup wise this week? Who you like?
For the price?
Don't say
for
it.
The price.
Don't.
What?
Don't.
What?
Don't.
Nick Mullins.
Okay, no, that's not as bad as who I was thinking of.
He's 5,100, which is pretty much the cheapest that you'll find like a starting quarterback for, really.
And he did all right when he started.
He didn't do too bad, and that's what I mean. So, like, he to me is one of these guys who, if you can't afford a stack or there's not one that you particularly like Nick Mullins to me just feels like he's going to do Mullins type things. He's against the Giants, which is a plus matchup. So you maybe go for a small stack with Jordan Reed and Mullins. Like, I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
But it is literally just the price that makes that appealing. Which is ironic as well, because Mullins was probably priced after Garoppolo, even before Garoppolo was definitely declared out.
Yeah.
And he's still more expensive than Sam Darnold. So there you go.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I'm gonna throw something out here. And I just want to see what your thoughts are. What about stacking Metcalf, but not with Russell Wilson?
Okay.
You look confused.
Yeah. So who would you stack him with?
Chris Carson. Or not? I'm not saying it's what I want to do. I'm just trying to put some different options out there.
Yeah,
I understand about it a little bit.
I understand that. The reason why I don't typically like stacking a running back and wide receiver is there's not many game scripts where they both have good games.
Apart from the last 2 games for the Seahawks. Yeah.
The thing is, Carson was saved week 1 with 2 touchdowns.
The thing with me that I'm going to say, I've
Carlos
been Chris Carson.
Carlos Hyde had more touches out of the backfield than Chris Carson did.
Yeah. When they were leading and they couldn't lose, that was game script. That was nothing to do about Hyde. For me, there was nothing apart from. And yes, they say he was kind of saved by the 2 touchdowns in receiving touchdowns against the Falcons. But it's more the fact that they're getting him more involved in the passing game. So last week, what was it? 17 attempts, rushing attempts for 72 yards. Not great. 3 for 3 for 36 and a touchdown. That's against New England. This is Dallas. So you've got to think he's going to be more towards his point total against the Falcons, which was nearly 25 points, maybe more. I think Carson's a lock for 2 touchdowns.
Van der Rush isn't there either, is he?
Huh? No.
That kind
it's just another and trying to look at a different scenario about it.
Yeah, you're just trying to mess with my head.
Yeah, I am. Because I'm anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Chris Carson fan, and I have been ever since he came out. And I've always been. He's the one. Even with the fumbles, he's still the one. Don't worry about it. He's just a bloody good player. But it's just a different wrinkle. If QB wise, our options are Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Ryan Tannehill, or Nick Mullins, you've got to go Wilson, and we've got to stack Wilson.
Yeah, I feel like we have to go Wilson because we were talking about stacking Metcalf and Wilson. So
exactly. Okay, so look, we've stacked Wilson. So we've got Russell Wilson, Deontay Johnson, DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Logan Thomas, and the Washington football team. And we've got 18,700 left, and we've got our 2 running backs and our flex to go. Talk to me about running backs, Rich. Talk dirty to me about running backs.
I mean, for me, it depends on your risk appetite and what you think is going to happen. I mean, everyone's talking about the Carolina Panthers being an awful defense against running backs, and how Austin Eckler is now just going to eat in this game. I think he will get a lot of touches, but I think also they're going to be putting Joshua Kelly in.
Yeah.
So his price is 5,000.
Yeah, he's on my list,
which is significantly less than Eckler at 6'8".
Yeah.
So I'd kind of be happy to put in Kelly and save a little bit, because the guy I really want in my lineup is Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, not a fan?
I've got him on my list, but I've kind of got 2 running backs. I've got 6 running backs that I like.
Okay.
And 2 of them are literally smashing me in the face.
Okay. So there are guys that I like, so it'll be interesting to see if you run them off now.
I've got Dalvin Cook.
Okay.
Not mainly. The thing that stuck in my head was, I think there was a quote from Gary Kubiak.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of, well, we're obviously not running the ball enough. Which makes me...
Yeah, that's because Gary Kubiak thinks if you pass it once, it's like, we're not running it enough. We should have run it with that then as well.
So, yeah, and he's 7,600. Jonathan Taylor was my next at 7,000.
Yeah.
I'll leave the 2 that I've got that smashed me in the face. I've got Dave Montgomery at 5,700 against the Falcons, and I have got Kelly for 5,000. I really, really, really like Kenyon Drake at 6,000 and Miles Sanders at 6,400 this week. I think they're
okay. So one of my guys that you've not mentioned.
Oh. Who is it?
Melvin Gordon.
What?
5,800.
He did look all right. I'll give you
5,800.
Yeah.
There's no Philip Lindsay.
Yeah. Well, he was back. I saw something.
I don't think. Well, even if he might be back, I don't really think he's going to be much of a factor.
Do you not rate Royce Freeman, Rich?
Not anymore. There's no Drew Lock, so you're going to see them maybe try and. I mean, Jeff Driscoll was great in the action that he had, but it's still Jeff Driscoll. And there's no Cortland Sutton, so this offense will have to run through Melvin Gordon,
which makes them very predictable against a Tampa Bay defense that, apart from the 2 receiving touchdowns for Kamara, did he have 2 against them?
I can't remember. McCaffrey had some action as well, didn't he? So,
but they really held the running backs on the ground in check last 2 weeks.
Okay, so Tampa Bay have given up an average of 35 points to the position, which is 5th in the league.
5th worst?
5th worst, yeah. So Carolina Panthers are the top, and then Tampa are 5th.
Yeah.
They've given up 3 touchdowns on the ground and 1 receiving touchdown to the position.
Yeah, so Kamara must have had 1 and 1.
I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. I actually mentioned him in my start sit column this week because he will be I'm not saying he'll be 100% the offense, because I think they're going to mix in like Hamler and Fantz doing well as well. But I think they need someone who's reliable, and that's going to be Melvin Gordon.
I think his ownership will be low as well. I think.
Yeah. So
I don't have ownership stuff.
So
I know,
I'm on Fancy Pros, which has like a DFS bit where it has like where they have like projected roster shit. And he's just under 4%. Yeah. Is what they're projecting for him.
What is Kenyon Drake?
Kenyon Drake,
who is 200 more.
7.5.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean,
did you see what Aaron Jones did against Detroit?
I did, but I think that was more a case of Detroit versus the Packers is always going to be a beat them and rub their face in it. I don't know. I think the Cardinals are going to want to do some funky stuff. He maybe sees an uptick now with Christian Kirk has been declared out.
Yeah.
So maybe he sees like a bit of an uptick there as well.
What about? Let's talk about Miles Sanders.
Okay.
Against Cincinnati.
Okay.
Basically, the only good player that the Eagles have got.
Only fit good player the Eagles have got.
I think he's going to see a fair bit of work this week. I don't hate. What is he? 64. Where am I looking here? So he's 64. Last week, 20 attempts, 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 targets, 3 receptions for 36, and a fumble which he had at the start of the game. What are your thoughts on him? Because obviously, I know that you're very high on Melvin Gordon. And Taylor, and I'm very high on Sanders and Drake. I think that we can probably fit 3 out of these in, potentially in the lineup.
I don't mind Sanders. I think he's going to have a pretty decent game. He is one of the only effective weapons in that offense at the moment.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me is the offensive line of the Eagles is rough. Carson Wentz is even rougher.
Yeah.
So we could see, but then I suppose it plays more into Miles Sanders if they're in like a losing game script because he's a receiving back.
I think who was out? Someone's out for the Bengals defensively that I saw, and I thought that is going to help Sanders. Is Burfict out? I really want to find out. I really should have probably looked at this beforehand. I definitely saw.
I mean, that would have been helpful, but let me just
Cincinnati outs. Let me just the Cincinnati outs.
So Geno Atkins is out.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking.
Mike Daniels is questionable.
If
Mike Daniels plays, then I'm not saying he's Geno Atkins, but Mike Daniels is still effective. He's good.
So what of the Bengals have played? Let's have a quick look here. It was showing me, won't it? They'll be right down the bottom because they're crap. So they played the Chargers and 155 rushing yards, and then they played Cleveland at 215 rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at their stats, they've given up the third most DraftKings points to the position.
Yeah.
So
now I would really quite like Miles Sanders, and if you're happy to.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So we've got Miles Sanders in there, and we've got 12,300 left. I suspect you're really going to you talk to me about Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, to me, is going to be pretty much what the offense runs through against the Jets, because there's no reason to have to pass the ball because the Jets suck. There's no Marlon Mack.
I'm sold. You sold me. There we go. I just needed to hear New York Jets.
Yeah, that's Adam Gase.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got we've got Wilson and Metcalf. We're stacking them. We've got Miles Sanders, Jonathan Taylor, Deontay Johnson, CeeDee Lamb. So we've got a piece of the Seattle and Dallas game, and Logan Thomas and the Washington football team, which leaves us 5,300 for our flex. Do you have? For me, I don't think. Oh, I really want to have one specific player in my flex position. I must have a running back, or I must have a tight end, or I'm not against a tight end. Are you more of are you similar to me? Like, I'm putting the best player in. I don't give a shit what position they play.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I don't really mind. I mean, I've had plenty of lineups where I've put two tight ends in.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get like a good value on the tight ends. Like, I don't know how much Jordan Reed was, but like if we went Jordan Reed and then, Thomas, like I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah. I just find out what Reed's price was last week. Not that I'm thinking about this week, but I think his price. I think he was probably about 3-4, maybe. Okay, sorry, yeah, my mistake. He was 2-6.
Yeah. So that's like the perfect opportunity. Like Kittle's out.
Yeah.
Smash him in your flex. You can upgrade like your running back or your wide receiver or whatever. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to answer your question, I typically just look at trying to get the best player that I can in the team.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got on this list here. So at the fee 3,000, you've got James White, no. Dion Lewis, no. Sterling Shepard on IR. Crowder is out. Hawkinson, Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Malcolm Brown, Robbie Anderson, Russell Gage, Zach Ertz, and then there's Kelly. Kelly's there. DeAndre Swift is there. He's interesting.
Swift is interesting
because I think Detroit are going to have to score points. A lot of them. And he's getting steadily more used in the passing game.
Yeah,
five targets.
Yeah, but of course he is, because like they're not going to give those to Adrian Peterson.
All right, give me two. You can have a look at I assume you've got DraftKings loaded up on your screen at home.
Yeah, so for me it's Kelly or Johnny Smith.
Okay. I would say it's going to be Kelly.
Actually, or Russell Gage. I'll throw in a third.
Oh. So Gage. Yeah, he's seen 21 targets, hasn't he? He's done pretty well. Let's have a look at Kelly again. I just want to have a see. He's 5,000. So he's steadily used 23 attempts for 64. Oh. So you got Kelly, Gage. I don't want anything to do with McKinnon. or Hunter Henry or Gibson. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I mentioned Gage. I think we've both mentioned Kelly.
Yeah.
We think the workload's there. I think
the matchup's there as well.
The thing that concerned me, not concerned me, that my thoughts on Kelly was he saw 23 attempts last week.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to have to do the same with Teddy Bridgewater.
No.
Are they going to? And also, Justin, you said it like a question at the end. No.
No.
Also, I think Justin Jackson's back training as well. Not that I'm saying he's going to have anything, but it's just something to note.
Yeah, I would just say that's something to note. Like, for me, it doesn't have any bearing on what Kelly's going to get. I think that coaching staff are very he's done a great job, so he's going to continue getting the workload. And I don't think they're going to need to put out Austin Eckler.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, for me, it feels like you're going to do it. You're flirting.
I did it.
Flirting,
I've done it. I've put him in.
There you go. I knew you were going to. You just like, you know.
I'm trying to be. How do I put this? I'm trying to think in a way that I want to doubt us to doubt something.
No, what it is you are being that girl on a Saturday night who wants to come home with me, but you just want to make sure I've got money for cheesy chips. That's what it is. Going back to the food analogies.
Oh my word! We've had tikka masala and cheesy chips. That's
what you get from me. If you want an analogy,
that's what you
get.
It
will revolve around food. You are welcome.
So, as everyone can see, the team: Russell Wilson, Miles Sanders, Jonathan Taylor, Deontay Johnson, Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Logan Thomas, Kelly, and the Washington football team. I don't hate it. I quite like it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though I'm already going to start, because I assume we're going to split the winnings here, right?
Oh,
so, yeah, so I'm already just...
Yeah, split them 95 to me.
I mean, I don't hate it. Like, it's more than I thought you were going to offer, so...
Of course we'd split it, mate. Of course we'd split it.
I'm already looking at how I'm going to spend it. So that's how confident I am in this lineup.
I like it, mate. I think Deontay Johnson's going to be a high ownership player.
Yeah.
I think Taylor's going to be high ownership. I think Miles Sanders is going to be high. I don't know if Wilson will be because of his price.
That's it. I think in this tournament, like, you want some guys that are gonna make you slightly different. So I think the guys that we've got that are going to be a bit different are Joshua Kelly, maybe Logan Thomas. Washington football team certainly is going to be a difference maker, I think. Jonathan Taylor might be.
I think we've won it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already banking the money, mate. So
booking your holidays.
That's it. Well, I can't go anywhere, can I? Come on. Cheers, Boris.
You're bellend. Yeah. All right, mate. Well, that was fun. That was good fun. That was just felt very, very easy to pick the winning lineup for the Milly Maker, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuss is about all these people with all this software.
Yeah, felt easy.
Exactly. So what we've just done, by the way, is the other 38 competitors in the season on DFS now know exactly who we like.
Yeah.
It's either going to work for us or work against us.
Just living up there rent free. That's what it is.
With your 77 points.
Hey, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
79 points, week 17 incoming.
To the bank.
Oh, yeah. I think this will be a weekly thing. I think I'm going to continue to do this on a weekly basis. I think it's going to be good fun, and I think the people who play in season on DFS, and also the people who don't, who are just interested in DFS and want potentially some different thoughts on players for their lineups, I think they'll quite enjoy this. I'll chuck this up on YouTube on the season on DFS YouTube channel, which I will be setting up very shortly. And we'll put it on the website and a link on the website, and we'll embed the video in there, and we'll put it all over Twitter as well. So yeah, and Rich, if you're lucky, you might get invited back again if we win. Or do you know what? If when we win, we might not just. Are we coming back? Are we going to do it again? Do you think?
Just if we do it again, we'll see what the diary says.
We'll do it from
might be a one and done thing, if we win. Just because we will be big deals at that point. So
you're already a big deal.
Only in my house, and that's not true.
That's good enough, mate. No, that's good enough. Remind everyone, mate, where we can find you on Twitter.
So you can find me at kfantasy_sports or richkingff.
And what's your website?
KingFantasySports.com.
And what is there?
Everything you could ever want. We have DFS articles, stuff of redrafts, so like start sits, waiver wire pickups. We have dynasty articles going up. We have it all. We have IDP stuff. I think I've actually got all the bases covered now.
Okay, you missed a big deal.
That's it. They say that skills pay the bills. If that was the case, I'd still be poor.
You can find me, personal account is at Jamie_Byrom, BYROMKM, so _ByromKM. The season long is at Season Long DFS, and the website is www.seasonlongdfs.com. Keep an eye out, follow us on Twitter, and also keep an eye out for the half season long DFS. I might think of a different name for it actually. But I think that'll be good fun. See what the interest is in that for anyone who has missed out, and I know some people have, and for anyone else who hasn't heard of it and just wants to get involved, because there's nothing like it around. I'm pretty certain this is the only season-long competition, DFS competition in the universe. Someone prove me wrong.
It might not be the universe. There's actually one for the experts on Fantasy Pros, but I don't think they do the same scoring like this. It's more to do with accuracy. So it's
totally different then.
It is different, yeah. So just ignore what I said. I was basically just saying I'm a big deal, so I'm in Fantasy Pros contest as well.
Really?
I assume there's been an admin error somewhere.
You're not anything linked to Fantasy Pros, are you? Like, you don't do any work for them, surely?
No. I'm part of the ECR for this year, so I'm part of the expert consensus rankings, which comes with some perks, which are pretty sweet. But no, I'm not a big deal, not really. Just a little humble guy. Trying to do his best.
Now, Rich, if they saw that you scored 77 points last week in season on DFS,
yeah, don't show them that.
Would you still be part of the ECR?
I think we both know the answer to that, which would be they'd be swiftly telling me to get on my bike. So don't show them that. I might change my name actually. I might set up a new account just to play in their competition, so there can be nothing linked that's bad.
Look, all of this chat and all of this digging, Rich is going to bang out like a 185 or a 220 this week. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I don't know if it's guaranteed, but I'm feeling better about I'm feeling better about this week than I was last week. So
that's good. That's good.
Onwards and upwards, mate.
And the beautiful thing about all of this, mate, is the little slogan: 1 week isn't going to kill you. 1 week will not kill you, but 2 weeks, LZ, will definitely kill you. So you're.
Have you ever thought about working for Samaritans?
Who, me? Nah.
Yeah.
I'm too nice for that. I'm too nice for that. So, Rich, I expect to see you higher than 34th next week.
Yeah.
I love the. Come on, Rich, you can do that.
Yeah, should be
you
right.
can do that. I'll take you a challenge, Rich. If you can, if you outscore me, I'll give you. I'll buy you a beer.
Okay.
And if I outscore you, you can buy me a beer.
Okay, fine.
You don't want to buy me a beer, do you? So it's a little bit.
I mean, you don't even drink beer, so it's fine.
I will. I will. Especially for you.
You're too kind.
All right, mate. Well, thank you very much for joining me.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Anytime.
And I will see everyone and speak to everyone next week, and a rundown of where Rich finished. Hopefully higher than where he finished this week, second to last. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the NFL. Have fun. Bet responsibly. Don't spunk all your money on DFS. Just spend what you can, really.
Yeah, that's one big thing I'd always say is when people ask me about playing DFS, I'm always like, just play for like 25-cent tournaments if you want. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to play for big money. Just enjoy it.
Mate, I every single week I'll enter 25-cent and 50-cent satellites to win $20 Milly Maker entries, and I'll do 10 in each, or 10 in the 25-cent and 5 in the 50, and chuck a few different lineups in there, and yeah, at the end of it, you can come out maybe 3 tickets. So you've spent like $4 and you've earned $60 worth of tickets. So that's always a good way of doing it, rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to chuck $20 straight in on the Milly Maker and not know exactly what I'm doing. Play around, have some fun. And I think I entered 69 last week. Yeah, I had quite a few. It was one of those things.
I'm just laughing at 69. So I'm a child. I'm a child.
69 chicken tikka masala and cheesy chips.
Yeah, I'm basically 17 mentally, so that's kind of where I am.
Yeah.
If you listen this far and you haven't signed up to DraftKings and you think you want to play, you can head on over to kingfantasysports.com, and we have a partnership with DraftKings. So if you make a first-time deposit, then they'll give you a bonus. And just to be completely upfront, we get a little kickback too, which helps keep us going.
Get involved, people. Get involved. And remember, season long DFS, 1 week won't kill you. Peace out.